In other news this hour, the Mineral Resources and Energy Department has announced slight relief for some cash-strapped motorists. 93 grade petrol is going down in price by 1 cent a litre, while 95 grade will increase by 2 cents a litre. But diesel will see a sizable decrease of between 73 and 74 cents per litre. Paraffin decreases by over 120 cents per litre. And the gas price dropped by 92 cents per kilogram just in time for winter. The Automobile Association is calling on motorists to be vigilant when they travel to various destinations for the Easter holidays. Last year, a total of 162 people died on roads, whereas 235 died during the same period in 2021. The AA has put the death toll over the last decade at more than 2,500 people. Well, what are some tips for drivers as they're planning to head out this coming Easter weekend? I'm joined in studio by Layton Beard. First, he speaks on behalf of the AA, that's the Automobile Association. Layton, good to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much.
We normally Zoom with you because you are so busy with the AA. So yet again, we are in a period where people will travel. There's a lot of travel that South Africans do at this time of the year, Easter, and you are now raising concerns to say, guys, please be aware.
So it's this Easter period, it's the festive period at the end of the year where we typically see a huge increase in the traffic volumes on our roads. And we obviously see an increase in the number of traffic law enforcement officers on the road, which is good, more roadblocks. So that's all very encouraging. But we're seeing too many people dying over this period. That figure of 270 is just over the 4-day period of the Easter weekend. It's a lot of people who are dead.
In 4 days.
In 4 days. And, you know, we consider road safety to be a national crisis in South Africa that unfortunately is not being prioritized by the authorities. And when you look at the numbers and the annual statistics of around 14,000 deaths on our roads every year, we have to start looking at why this is. And part of the reason, Dan, is because we need motorists to play their role as well.
You talk motorists, but there's also motorbikers on the road. There's pedestrians as well who use the roads.
Pedestrians make up the largest portion of fatalities on our roads. Up to 40% of all our deaths annually are pedestrians. People aren't visible when they walk. They're not looking where they walk. Obviously, with the rolling blackouts, lights are out on streets. So we're asking people be aware of pedestrians, and pedestrians at the same time be aware of vehicles.
Yeah, it is a big problem, as you say. I mean, it's a crisis in terms of road safety in South Africa. But in your statement, you say you don't believe it's prioritized sufficiently by authorities. Tell us why.
Okay, I'll give you 2 examples. The first is we have a report from 2019, the Traffic Law Enforcement Review Committee. It was a committee that was established by the government, by the previous Minister of Transport, Dipuo Peters. And in that report, this committee of experts said we need double the amount of traffic law enforcement officers than what we currently have. Nothing has happened to ensure that we get that number. There were a number of other recommendations, more resources, more equipment, professionalizing the service. None of that has happened, and that's a concern. And then the question that we ask all the time is, where is the education in schools? Are we seeing 6, 7-year-olds at primary school being taught the rules of the road? Are we seeing road safety education being done? And if it is, it certainly isn't ubiquitous. Not enough is being done. And then we look at the courts not prioritizing road issues. Labs take a year to process blood samples. These are the types of problems we're talking about, and that's why it's not being prioritized.
Yeah, you make also a valid point in your statement that you've issued ahead of Easter. You say that while traffic law enforcement is important, it can only do so much. The rest of us who use the roads must play our role. Exactly. So what are the main tips to give to us who use the roads this Easter to be safe?
So sadly, I think we're talking to the converted. But for that portion of the viewers who are not converted, overtake when it's safe to do so. If there's a solid white line, don't overtake, you can't do it. Be courteous to other drivers. Respect the speed limit. It's not a target. If it says 120 and it's raining and visibility is bad, you don't have to drive at 120, you can go slower. Keep your headlights on if visibility is bad. Make sure that your car's in a good condition. Check your tires. Make sure your windscreen wipers are working. Get to your destination safely. And remember, it's a privilege to drive on the roads. It's not a right. You share that privilege with millions of other South Africans. It's not only your safety that's at stake. Every other road user is also on the road, and you need to respect their safety as well.
Yeah, many times when I'm driving down roads of Johannesburg, sometimes you see people on their devices while they're driving. It's not talking, but
texting.
Texting.
I mean, I've seen people on the highway between Joburg and Pretoria on laptops and on big tablet devices. Put those devices away. And we need traffic law enforcement to police that, Dan, and we're not seeing enough
Because
of
it just takes a split of a second for an accident to happen.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, as you look away onto your device, something else can happen. The drinking and the driving?
Huge problem in South Africa. We saw that government wanted to reduce the blood alcohol levels to 0. They're currently at 0.005. They wanted to reduce them to 0. Our response to that is we've got great laws in our country that govern drunk driving. Let's enforce them. There again is the problem. We're not enforcing the laws we have. If we see somebody, only 8% of people who are stopped for drunk driving are actually prosecuted. Therein lies the story as well.
You mentioned awareness. Just a question. I mean, I don't know if the AA, between yourselves, because you're such a highly respected automobile association, working with the transport department, maybe some of these awareness campaigns maybe should be done in all languages. I mean,
yes.
we have 11 official languages in the
Sure.
country. I mean, has AA done other than in English? Have you done other languages?
We certainly have. We do ongoing pedestrian visibility campaigns, and we do that in languages that people can understand. And we do that at places where people are going to be commuters and be pedestrians. So we don't do that at places like big shopping malls. We go to taxi ranks where we know people are going to get off buses or get off or taxis, and that's where they're going to need these sashes. So yes, absolutely agree with you. Can more be done? Certainly more can be done, but the government needs to come to the party. This is a big problem, and in our view, it's not being addressed sufficiently.
Yeah, I've seen sometimes now with some of the horrific trucking accidents and stuff on our roads and buses, people blaming the conditions of the roads.
Yes.
How big a factor is our infrastructure, road infrastructure, becoming in road safety in
Massive.
the view of AA?
Massive. I mean, potholes is a huge road safety issue. People swerving out, people trying to avoid getting their cars damaged. It's a huge problem. But combine that with the fact that if you're driving at night, in many areas there aren't any street lights because of the rolling blackouts. So you've got potholes to contend to. You don't know where you're going because you can't see. You sometimes encounter many people walking across the road as well. They can't see you. You can't see them. It's a huge problem. Infrastructure in South Africa is a problem, and it needs to be addressed as well.
No, thank you very much, Layton, for coming through and
Thank you,
sharing
Dan.
some tips and your concern. It's a very important discussion to have that we do have, as you said, around this time of the year in South Africa and during the festive season towards the end of the year. But that's not enough. There needs to be more done in terms of awareness. Please do be safe on the roads this Easter.